All right, so you're all welcome to Atlassian Community Makurdi events today. And for our event today, we are going to be looking at Confluence. Because for some of us, Confluence might be something we already know much about it. And for others, this might be their first time hearing about Confluence. And some actually want to know what's Confluence, what's it all about. So, of course, this is an event. So it's not like we're going to teach you or tell you everything about Confluence today. We try to introduce that to you. And after the event today, for those who want to actually get their hands on Confluence, like practice is actually want to play around with it. Of course, we have an instance where you can add everyone up and into space or whatever you want to do there and actually test it for yourself. Of course, when you come for meetup, you can't learn everything that they will just to guide you and show you what you need to. And then I also meet people who are using such products or who are into that technology. And I meet people who are like-minded. And the situation is that after now, you can actually meet one or two persons from me and build a network and you can grow in that too or technology which you want to do. So as a person, I use Atlassian products. I work for a company where we offer services for Atlassian clients. So I'm quite familiar with Atlassian suite of products, Confluence and others. So we'll be starting right away. The session is going to be recorded, so you can also catch up everything on YouTube after the event. So I'll be introducing our speaker for today now. Things will have quite a short time today, so we won't be spending much time. We want to be fast, so I have things we have to get back to after this event. So introducing our speaker is by name Babade Adewale, and he will put on his camera and introduce himself more. So Babs, the floor is open for you now.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And thank you for joining. And thank you for having me, Luis. Really honored. Okay, so today we'll be speaking about Confluence. From the responses we've gotten, it appears there's a number of us here with experience with Confluence already. Yes, I wanted to stress that this is an introductory, like a beginner introductory, just introductions to the tool so we're going to be starting like from the beginners level and all of that. So we'll just try to introduce the tool Confluence to absolute beginners. And yeah, well, of course, for the advanced users, there's always question and answer session where, let's say, there are things that were not clear before. We can actually pick it up and try to resolve. So let me, a quick introduction. My name is Babs. I'll just share my screen now. Please give me.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Kojo. Thanks for joining.
Welcome, Babs.
A minute, please. Just trying to shake my screen shared. Cool. Luis, I'm unable to share my screen. Could you please grant making the host?
Can try it again, Babs.
I'm still unable to share. Could you try making me the host for the call? All right, cool. Why Luis is trying to sort? Oh, thank you, Luis. Share my screen now. Cool. Okay, so warm welcome to everyone. Welcome to today's Atlassian community event. I'll get started. Luis, can I see you share? Yes, I think I'm still able to share. Yeah, thank you. All right, cool. So everyone, welcome to today's Atlassian community event. A quick introduction. My name is Babs, and I work as a software engineer in Alluvium. So Alluvium is a startup, Atlassian startup, and we are an Atlassian marketplace partner, and we're currently working towards becoming Atlassian solutions partner. At Alluvium, I majorly work as a data migration engineer. So one of the things Alluvium does is migrations. Atlassian is can be hosted on 3 platforms: server, data center, and cloud. So Alluvium helps our clients all over the world. For their migrations, when you want to move from server to cloud, server to data center, cloud to data center. And then one of the advantages of being a migration expert is that it actually requires that you understand the tool properly, because when you're moving across platforms, you need to be able to understand how the differences are between those platforms, and then how to really make sure the clients are comfortable on these platforms. So that major work in Alluvium, and so really giving me with Confluence and Jira some of my experiences and a little bit of my knowledge. And I'm really grateful that you all are here. There's so Manisha, please, do you want to say, guys, can you all hear me?
Yeah, hi, Bab. So, like I just as said that I'm working as the Atlassian admin. So, I work on Jira, Confluence, Crowd, and Bitbucket as well. So, in the Confluence,
Perfect.
we help the user regarding their request. It could be the space creation, it could be permissions or access to a space. So that's all we work on macros, creation of macros, addition of customization into the Confluence space, and everything, like all the customization related to the macros and all. So
Awesome.
that's
It's great to have you. All right, cool. So let me start with a quick introduction. So Atlassian. Atlassian is a software engineering company that produced majorly for team collaborations. I'm sure some of us might have come across some of their products: Jira, Confluence, the very popular ones: Jira, Confluence, Trello, and Bitbucket. So Jira is majorly for work tracking, as Manisha had said, and helps you to create and manage your tasks in your company. It's a very powerful tool. The last Atlassian community Makurdi was an introduction to Jira, and then today we're dealing with Confluence. So Atlassian is the owner of Jira, Confluence, Trello, and Bitbucket. Bitbucket, it's Atlassian powerful code repository. So today we'll just be looking at Confluence. We'll be looking at, talk about Confluence spaces, Confluence pages, and very interesting and fun things we can do with Confluence. And I see Confluence as a very powerful tool for collaboration and teamwork. There's a lot of interesting features that we will be going through today. Yeah. So getting started, to get started with Confluence is quite straightforward for those with no experience. Going to Atlassian.com, the main website for Atlassian. You're actually able to see all the products offered by Atlassian. And on the main page, you can see some of the products offered by Atlassian, Jira software, Confluence, which is majorly for collaboration. And then you've got Jira Service Management for ITSM and Trello. All you need to do is click on the try now, and you are able to get a free site that just a minute, please. So for this presentation, I have created, so I've got a sample Confluence site that we can use right here. Just a minute. Awesome. So when you create a new Confluence instance, you're presented with a page similar to this, a site similar to this, where you've got, so when you create a new Confluence instance, of course, you're going to have a page similar to this, ending with Atlassian.net. So this sample space is called AC Makurdi.Atlassian.net. So let's go back to our presentation. So yeah, Confluence is structured in spaces. Confluence is a very compact and straightforward tool. It allows you to properly structure your work in a very clear and definite way. So the building blocks, so Confluence is structured in spaces, and for each space, it's where you actually organize your work. So a Confluence space would contain all your documentations. There are different formats for Confluence spaces. A Confluence space will contain all your documentations, all your articles. It's a place where you can collaborate. It's a place where you can create pages, create articles, and share them with people. So in order to create a Confluence space, on your Confluence site, you would see this blue button right here. I mean, you would see these top buttons here. And in order to create a space, you should click the drop down, and then this button, create a space, comes up. In order to create a space on Confluence. So we're going to try to create some spaces. So this is more of a walkthrough, so we're going to be walking through creating spaces, and we're going to be doing everything hands-on. So to create a space, there's this button at the top of your screen on your newly created Confluence site. Allows you to create a space, and when I do this, so you are able to provide. So creating a space, Atlassian provides you documentation, a knowledge base. If you just want to document some things you've learned, and if you're going to be linking your Confluence space with a project, there's a template for that. But we're going to be starting with a blank space for today's demonstration. So I'll click on this. I think I should be able to hide this somehow. Apologies, a minute, please. Perfect. No. Oh yeah. So we're choosing to create a blank space for our demonstration. So you provide the name space, let's call it, and also change the key. Let's call this DM. And then we're able to create a space right here. Just take some time to load. Just taking some time. Awesome. So we're able to create our first space called demo space. And then, so let me give you a quick walkthrough of how your space looks like. So once you create a blank space, you are presented with a page like this. And then you've got this overview page, which is the first page you see when you create your space. It just gives you an introduction to your space and such. Then there's this button for blogs. Blogs they are similar to Confluence pages, but the function is a little bit different. Blogs are majorly, you can use blogs majorly for announcements and journaling as such. So each Confluence space you create contains this blog page where you can, okay, Sanjay raised the hand. That's cool. Sanjay, do you want to ask a question? You have a question to ask?
Okay, like sorry for the interruptions. So are we going to cover like from the basics to the advanced level for this particular session?
Yeah, so today's session is majorly the basics for it's an introductory session for, so we're covering majorly the basics, but if you actually have advanced questions, we can definitely take the questions after the session during the question and answer session.
Like
Awesome.
definitely I like to explore some like your experience from using macros and all.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be touching a little bit on macros, so no worries.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so one of the first pages you see on your space is the overview page, and then the blog. As I was talking about the blog. So blog, they are like pages. However, they serve different functions. You majorly use blogs for journaling or announcements, and every space you create should have this blog button. And then there's this option for space settings. I'm going to come back to talk about this in details. So we understand what spaces are on Confluence, and then we need to talk about pages. Yeah, so this is where you do your actual work on pages. So in order to create a page, there's this button at the top right here. And so we use this button to create a page on a Confluence space. So let's create our first page, and let's call this first page. All right. First page. Creating a page on Confluence is as easy as using the create button and then providing the page title. And it's in here that you can do a lot of interesting things, like I'm sure some of us, many of us have experience with Google Docs. Confluence gives you almost all the functionalities of Google Docs with more things to do. So we can't specify a heading here and say heading 1. Interesting thing about Confluence pages, it's that easy to create Confluence pages. And then once you're done editing your page, you can click on publish, and then your page is ready for use. I should also talk about page templates. So there are presets. So what we've just done, we've just created a blank space. However, let's say there are preset templates for page creation on Confluence. So you don't always have to create a blank space. Atlassian provides for you a number of templates to use when you're creating your page. So if I don't want to create a blank page, I want to create a page for a documentation. Once I click the create page button, by the right side of the screen, Atlassian gives me multiple templates to choose from on what kind of template I want to use. I could choose is it a one-on-one meeting? Is it a retrospective? Do I want to create a blog post, as I mentioned earlier, or a capacity planning page, right? Content design, corporate bylaws. Atlassian provides a lot of templates. Allow me to walk you through the page templates available on Confluence. You are able to use, so Atlassian provides by default 130 templates to choose from when creating your template, when creating your page. And I think this is very good for project managers. You're able to quickly go through one of the templates and see, okay, which one am I using? You can even create a DevOps runbook templates, although you might need to modify this, but this is one of the features Atlassian provides. Okay, Manisha, do you have a question? Cool.
Yeah, Babs, I have one question regarding the templates. Like you said that we can use the template given by the Atlassian. So just
Yeah.
wanted to ask on that thing, like, is it related to that global template which we have, or that is a different thing?
Okay, yeah, so there are space templates and there are page templates. So let me try to clarify. So when you want to create a space, right?
Yeah.
Atlassian provides you ability to create a team template, documentation templates, or knowledge base. You can use any of these templates to create a space, right? So the first time we tried to create a blank space. So if I choose any of these templates, if I choose to create a space with any of these templates, there are some pages that get created for me automatically. So, but if I choose a blank space, my space is empty. There are no pages in it. Okay, let's try creating a documentation space, for example. Yeah, and then let's call it demo 2, right? And then yeah, that's fine. Let's just create a space. So because I use a documentation template, Confluence automatically gives me a suggestion of pages that should be in my space. So right here, it says, welcome to your documentation space. I've got a template roadmap, a roadmap template, because this is a documentation space. So Atlassian kinds of gives us some template pages by default. So space template is actually different from page templates. So what you see here when you try to create your space, these are space templates. But when I want to create a new page in a space, I can get to choose how I want my page to look like. So I could choose an online submitted template and I could create my page with this template, right? So I can just populate these fields or modify this based on my goals or based on my peculiar modifications. I hope that's clear, Manisha.
Yeah, Babs, it's fine. Thank you.
Awesome, cool. Awesome, cool. I hope I'm not moving too fast. So let's go back to our first space called demo, right? Cool. So I'll just walk us through some basic Atlassian, some basic page feature. So one of the very interesting things you can do on a Confluence page, they're actually endless. I think I'm just going to pick. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of things to do on a Confluence page. You can, let's say my heading. you're able to structure your page based on headings and such. You can have heading 2 right here. You give it a smaller heading, heading 2, and then you can have the normal text field on your page. Then also, with as like every documentation tool, you are able to attach files. You're able to attach images. You are able to you're able to attach not just images, but attachments, CSV, and all of the type of files. Then also there are some things called, very interesting things called page macros. So page macros are like, they are minute, should I call them, applications that you can use on your page and makes your content rich. So the Atlassian editor gives you a very, the Atlassian editor is very rich and gives you tools to make your content really, really rich and really beautiful. So in order to add those macros to your page, there's this insert button at the top of your screen, and then clicking the insert button gives you a number of different macros you can use on your page, right? You can use, or there's a shortcut also for that. If you don't want to use this button, there's a shortcut. Using the backslash, you have the ability to actually choose any of the macros you want to use. So some of my favorite macros are the expand macro. Yeah. So for this macro, all you need to do is give it a title. Let's call this AC, and then everything you want to put in, you can just type it in here, and then once you publish the page, we'll see how this works. Then also you can include a whole lot of macros, including a table. You can put in tables here. You can put in code blocks for developers. You can put in a Python script here, pip install Python, and pip install, let's say, NumPy. And funny thing is, for this, you can actually specify what kind of language is your code block. You can specify, should it be C? Should it be C++? Can it be Python? Can it be Go? Can it be Java? Right. Let's go through some other features. You can put in status markers, such as to do with the right colors. Put in other status markers like progress, the right colors as such. Yeah. And let's try to find some more interesting. Yeah. So you can put in a whole number of macros, a whole number of features on your page that makes your page really interactive and really beautiful to use and really organized. There's an info panel, there's a date field, there's a note panel, there are error panels, warning panels, bullet list, of course, links, quotes, and all of this. Yeah. Cool. So there are a number of things, everything you can do on the traditional documentation pages, you can do them on your Confluence page and even do more, as I've shown already. So once you're done with your page, you can actually go ahead to publish this page. So once you publish this page, it is visible to everyone that has access on your page. So I'm going to be talking about access later on. I'm going to be talking about access on Confluence after this, right? So once you're done with your editing and all of that, you can actually go ahead to publish your page. But if you're not ready to publish, you can simply close the page. So what this does is it saves your page, even but every change you are here to publish is not made visible to others, right? But if you want your changes to be made visible to others, you can go ahead to publish your page. So that's just a little note on Confluence spaces and Confluence pages. Okay, now so let's do a quick walkthrough on access. One of the very beautiful features Atlassian provides for you is a very flexible and easy to configure permissions. So there are different levels of access on Confluence. There are access that are granted by Confluence administrators. This is kind of access that actually gives you access to the Confluence sites or the Confluence environment you're working in. But we're not going to be talking about those, or probably we can take those questions during the QA session. But we're just going to be focusing on space settings, space permissions, and page permissions. So let's start with page permissions. So page permissions is really straightforward. You can actually choose to restrict, you can actually restrict those who have access to your page using a feature we call page restrictions, right? So there's a button here that looks like a padlock at the top right corner of your screen. From here, you can sorry. I think coaches is could you please do you want to
Oh no, it's fine. I actually went off by mistake, but I've been enjoying it so far. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks. All right, cool. So you can actually determine who has access to your page by simply using this feature here. It's called restrictions. And then, okay, so I'm on a free site actually. So, but this feature allows you to limit who can see your page and then who is unable to see your page. And also you are able to share your page with anyone on your team, or even outside, anyone on your team that has access to the page you're working with. And just in case you wanted to share this page with someone that's not currently on your site, that doesn't have access to your site, you can simply export your page in any format. So there's a toggle button at the top right corner of your screen here, and then there's an option to export, right? So you can export your document to either a Word format or a PDF. So if you want to share your page with someone within your organization, you can simply use the share button and then mention anyone. Let's say you have got a number of people here. Let's say I wanted to share with Louis. Louis gets to see this page, right? But let's say I wanted to share with someone not on my site, that doesn't have access to my site. I can simply choose to export my page as PDF or Word. Most of the time I use PDF to share my pages with, if I need to, with external people. I think, yeah. Please just, if you have any questions, please note them down. I know this is kind of a walkthrough. So looking at space permissions. Space permissions, you can access space permissions by simply, so there's a space setting button at the left of your screen for each space you create. So in order for you to be able to access this, you need to have, so for each space you create or each space you run, there's a space settings button that allows you to modify the permissions for a particular space. So when you click on this button, you should have a screen that looks like this. And then there's a number of features here, but based on your permission, because based on your permission on a space, there are things you can do and there are things you certainly cannot do. So if you are a space admin, if you are the owner of a space, or you've got some administrative permissions on a space, you can actually modify the permissions as it suits your need. So clicking on the space settings button, you can see a number of features, but we'll be focusing on today just the space permissions features. And then click on the general permissions, and then we're presented with a page that looks like this. Oh my bad, I should have upgraded this site to a premium instance, because this is a free site, kind of having some restrictions. Apologies for this, but if you have any questions, I'll make sure to answer them. Okay, I'll just try to do a quick walkthrough for this. So space permissions, there are a number of permissions for each of the spaces, and there is permissions for pages, for blogs, for comments, for attachments, for restrictions, and for space administration. So you can actually specify who can view, what a person or a group can do on your space. You can say, you can determine if a person can actually create a page in your space, or you don't want them to create a page, but you want them to be able to just add comments. So for example, this particular user on my space can actually, it can create a page, but it can archive a page. But this user can actually delete pages. You can add or delete blogs, can add or delete comments, can add or delete attachments. You can add or delete restrictions, and this user has the ability to administer this space. Unlike anyone in this group called Confluence users, AC Makurdi, they can do most of this. They can do most of these things on this space, but they cannot administer the space, and also they are unable to archive pages. So the permissions on space level is majorly on pages, on blogs, on comments, attachments, and restrictions. So what the page permission does is it determines who can add or delete a page on your space. The blog permission determines who can add or delete blogs, as I mentioned earlier, blogs right here. And attachment permission determines who can add an attachment or who can delete an attachment. And restrictions says who can actually restrict a page on your space or who cannot. And the space administration shows who can administer your space or not. If a person doesn't have these permissions, the person is not able to, the person can only come in and do basic things on the page and not administer your page, right? And then let me go back to our slide just to make sure I haven't veered off. Cool. So we've talked about spaces, space templates, spoken about pages, page templates. Then we've spoken about blogs, right? I hope I'm clear at this point and there is no confusion whatsoever. I'd like your feedback, please. Anyone, please. Anyone, please. Can you all see hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you, Adiola. Awesome. Okay, let's try to go through some other features. Okay, yeah, so I'd mentioned page restrictions. We've mentioned configurable permissions. I think we've spoken on macros. And then let's do a quick review of collaborative editing. Confluence gives you the opportunity for two people to work on a page at the same time, right? So if I'm working on this page, I can actually invite someone else to edit this page at the same time with me. It's one of the features that Atlassian and Confluence provides, collaborative editing. Multiple people can work on the same page on the same page at the same time. And then once you share the page, as I've done earlier on, anyone you share the page with also has the ability to come and edit the page with you. So it's a very powerful feature that Confluence provides, ability for multiple people to work on the same page at the same time. Yeah. And then I'm going to talk about space export. And the first thing, I've spoken about page export, where you can actually export your page. Let's say you wanted to share with someone else in your organization, or you just want to have a PDF or a Word export of your page. Another interesting thing you can also do it. So that's for page export. You're also able to actually export your space. Let's say you don't want your space to be on the instance anymore, but you still want to have an offline version of it. You can actually export the space. When you click on space settings, and then when you see this manage space permissions, you are able to export your space in different formats. You can export your space in a number of formats, as HTML, let's say as PDF, or as XML. For HTML exports, the one that I use most of the time is the XML exports, because what this does is when you export your space as an XML document, let's say you want to re-import it to a different Confluence instance, you are actually able to import your space, the space export you get from this particular site. Let's say you go into a different organization and you want to take your documentation along with you. Let's say your personal documentation. You can actually export your space as an XML. And once you get to your new organization, if you have the right permissions, you are able to actually import your own personal space onto the new site. Or let's say you're moving from, so this is majorly what we do when we do a migration. Let's say client wants to move from server to data center. One of the things we do is we do migrations in a number of ways. But one of the ways we also do migrations is we obtain XML exports of the clients and just move it to the new instance. So this is a very powerful feature. This can help you to take your space, have an offline backup of your space that can be re-imported to any Confluence instance, be it a cloud instance, be it a server instance or a data center version of Confluence at any time. And then let's say you do not want to, let's say you've worked on a space for a long time and you don't want the space to appear on your site anymore. You have the ability to actually archive your page, your space. So what this does, it removes the space from the general view of all spaces on your instance. But once you archive a space, you can unarchive it and it makes it visible. And let's say you're totally done with your space, you are actually able to completely delete your space. This process is irreversible. So before you delete your space, you can make sure you have an offline export of it before you go ahead to delete your space. So these are like the basic features I wanted to talk on. I know there might be questions. Yeah. Okay, so honorable mentions for Confluence, right? One of the things I really love about the Atlassian product is they've got a great community. This is a community event, and there are multiple community events on Atlassian all over the world that goes on every single time, every single month. And the Atlassian community is very, very supportive, and there's a community page called Atlassian community where, so this is the community page. If you have a problem, if you have a question, the community is always ready to pick up your questions. There are a lot on a wide range of topics on any problem you might encounter. Atlassian provides a very, very strong and active community. And also the Atlassian marketplace. Of course, there are that you might need to do that are not provided by Atlassian out of the box. There is a okay. So Atlassian has a marketplace for plugins that extends the basic functionality of any of their products, be it Bitbucket, be it Jira, or be it Confluence. And as a developer on Atlassian, my favorite feature, my favorite set of tools on Atlassian is their robust and continuously expanding API library. So Atlassian has got Atlassian has for developers, Atlassian has got a very rich REST API library, especially for cloud. Just a minute, please. Here is the documentation. Yeah. So Atlassian has got a very robust REST API library for automation. You know, there are a lot of things you might need to automate if you have programming skills like Python or Node.js as such. So Atlassian has provided a very rich, although still expanding library for your automation tasks and jobs, aside the marketplace, where there are a lot of tools that actually make your work much easier. Yeah, so those are honorable mentions. Atlassian has got an awesome community, a very large and robust API library for automation, for when you want to extend Confluence or any of your Atlassian's products functionality, and a very rich marketplace containing tools to extend or to improve your experience on the product. So if somebody asks you, why should you choose Atlassian, why should you choose Confluence, why should you choose Confluence over another documentation tool? So Atlassian projects generally, including Confluence, they've got seamless integration across the entire Atlassian suite. You can integrate Confluence with Jira, integrate Jira with Bitbucket, even with very popular tools such as Slack and Salesforce. I'm sure some of us might be familiar with Salesforce and Slack. Atlassian seamlessly integrates with these products, Jenkins, automation and all of that. Atlassian seamlessly integrates with this product, and there are established documentation on how to do this. And then Atlassian provides you a one-stop platforms for development. You've got Jira for issue tracking, and you've got Confluence for documentation, and you've got Bitbucket for code repository. And of course, Atlassian is easy to use and set up. If you want to set up Atlassian, a cloud site now, all you need to do is go to atlassian.com and just come here and just come to atlassian.com, and then you are able to just try now, or you can just buy now. And if you want Confluence Jira software, but I'll just go to Confluence. You can set up a Confluence instance in practically 5 minutes. It's easy and it's no brainer. And then, of course, support Agile development. Everyone loves Agile. And then, of course, as you've seen, Atlassian has got a very beautiful and user-friendly UI that you get to love as you interact with it more. And Atlassian has also got excellent support. Support engineers in Atlassian. Once you have a problem, all you need to do is come to the support page, support.atlassian.com. Your issues are resolved in to no time. And you can actually, you can see the progress of your requests, of how your issues have been resolved. Atlassian provides one of the best ITSM ITSM tools in the world. And of course, they stick to that in how they offer to their clients themselves. And then, as I've mentioned earlier, automation, you can definitely do a lot of automation with the REST API, libraries, developers too. And also the pricing. Let me just state here that if you, so I've used a free Atlassian site for this demo. Sorry, please, could you mute your mic, please? I've used a free Atlassian site for this demo. And for as long as the users on this site, please, can you mute your mic, please? So for as long as the users on this site do not exceed 10, this site will remain free. Yeah, so if you are a small startup and then you need to do a number of things, although you won't be able to do everything, but you can actually do the basic things. If you have less than 10 users, Atlassian supports you by making this site always free for you, right? And then, yeah, so this is like our introductory notes on Confluence. This is purely introduction. But of course, if you have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you guys, and big thank you to Louis for the opportunity, and a big thank you to Alluvium for co-sponsoring this event. Please, any questions? And thank you very much for having me. All right. Yeah, stop sharing my screen now. Awesome. All right, cool. Luis, you can take over. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Babs. Thank you for the session. All right, so if you have questions, you can ask your questions now. Then for our comments further. So this is time for questions and answers. So if you have, like we said earlier, some of us may be familiar with Confluence, others are just starting. So you can ask your question, both beginner and advanced questions. We have more than enough people here to answer all your questions. So the floor is open for questions now. Thank you. Okay, so I guess there are no questions, right? Okay, so now that being said, now this was like an event, like I said earlier, you can't learn everything or get all you want today. But for subsequent meetups later on, you're going to have. Okay, sorry, Adela, we can't hear you. Can you not hear me? Okay, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, Adela, I have a question. Please, you can go ahead.
Okay, so the question goes for Babs. Please, I have a question based on the permission. So when we're talking around permission and on the space, I kind of locked like 2 pages within that space, and I need to give that a particular link on to a team member to work on. Is it compulsory for me to just give them individual access, or I need to give them like I need to just add all the Confluence users as a group to that particular access? Then when I have a documentation in the personal space where I only have access to, how do I like give access to other people to like go in and work on my own personal space? Please, how do that go? Can you just give a brief about the permission? Thank you.
All right, cool. So if I understand it clearly, okay, let me answer your question on personal spaces, right? So one of the things you can do on your personal space, if you have one, and then you want to grant people accesses, you can grant maybe you can grant only ability for other users to actually view the pages on your space, right? You can actually give them just the view only permissions. If you don't want them to actually make changes on your space, you just want to you just want them to be able to like read. Or you can, if you want to share your page or with a particular user, you can actually use the share permissions on a particular page in order to share the page with another user. And then, sorry, your first question, please?
My first question goes by having a space. Yeah, so on
Yeah.
that space, I restricted 2 pages within that particular space. So those 2 pages that are restricted, I want to share it with my team member. Do I need to necessarily add them to the restriction tab, or I go into space permission and give them permission from there? Always confused.
Okay, so it really depends, right? So if there are no restrictions on your page restrictions, if there are no restrictions on your actual Confluence spaces, on your actual Confluence pages, if there are no restrictions, you can just give them, you can put all the users that need to have access in the group, and then you add them to your space. You can give them view permissions on your space if you don't want them to do any other thing. But if you want them to be able to make changes on your space, you can give them permissions to add pages. So you need to be able to separate space restrictions from page restrictions, because page restrictions you always overwrite. A user might have the ability to view pages on your space, but if there is a page restrictions that exclude that user, even though the user can actually read other pages in your space, the pages where they are restricted from view, they wouldn't still be able to view. So you need to be able to like separate page permissions from page restrictions. In a case where there's page restrictions, you need to add the group to the page restrictions. But if there are no page restrictions, you just need to give the group of users direct permissions. You can just give them ability to view pages on your space. I hope that is clear. Manisha has a question, please. Manisha, you can ask your question.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I have
Thank you
one
so
question
much.
regarding the plugins. Like in Jira, we have so many plugins like which are used for the great functioning and which provide us great features. So for Confluence, which are the like most famous and popular plugins which we can use in our instance?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get you. Just could you ask the question again, Manisha? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I was asking like what are the famous plugins for Confluence which are available in the marketplace which we can use for our instance? So that's my query.
Yeah, it really depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to create interactive diagrams, I know draw.io is available for Confluence. Are you familiar with draw.io? So it really depends on what you're looking for, right? But one of the famous plugins for Confluence, there's a plugin called draw.io, and there is another called Lucidchart. So these plugins are majorly for Confluence is majorly for documentation. So Lucidchart and draw.io are actually plugins where which you can use to create diagrams, very interesting and interactive diagrams, process maps, and even workflows. You can use them to design visual workflows. You can use them to design all these XML diagrams as such. Then also there is a plugin I came across recently. It's called Composition Tabs for Confluence. It just depends on what you really want to do, right? This Composition Tab for Confluence enables you to actually structure your page into sections, right? So you can actually when you click on the particular tab, you can actually structure your Confluence page into tabs. So if you click on the tab, you see the content of that tab. Click on another tab, you see the content of those tabs. So those are like very famous plugins that I have used on Confluence. But if you actually want to work with a plugin on Confluence, it really depends on what you want to do, the purpose you want to achieve. But since you've asked for popular ones, draw.io is very popular on Confluence and Lucidchart.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question, Anisha.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, I guess there are no more questions then. All right. Okay, so now, like I said earlier, today is just an event for some people, just an introduction. Others are more experienced with Confluence, and I'm sure you want more. Of course, later in the year, we're going to have workshops, so it won't be like just an event, and the workshop will be in different sections. Maybe the first day might be just about spaces. Of course, I know a lot of people who are in the field might really want to maybe know more about that. And other days, you can look at other areas of Confluence. The workshop wouldn't just be for an event to spend like meeting days, different meeting days. Probably can have one Saturday, we talk about something, and another Saturday, look at Confluence another way. Another Saturday can be dedicated to macros. So that will come up later in the year. So if you're really interested in knowing more about that, of course, we'll have speakers who will be experts in various fields to come and talk about that. It can be like 45 minutes and hour to talk about just macros for that day. And I'm sure that will do justice. But for now, we are starting, and of course, we need to carry everyone along. Someone who has no idea going to talk with us about macros the whole day is not going to make sense. So when we have our workshops, I think we'll have more time to actually look at things in details. All right, so for our event today, we kind of made our event short. We're supposed to have a second speaker for automations in Confluence, but I have to just cut some things off because this weekend is a busy weekend for me. We're working, so we just have to make the event such very short. And so we're going to end our events about now. So but before we go ahead, I also had a Kahoot session planned before, but unfortunately, we won't be doing that. My time is really running. I need to move out as quickly as possible. So I have a prize for just one person, and the first person who will join our event today, beside the speaker and I, the host, is Manisha. So you have a $10 gift card, and you can email me after this, and I'll send it across to you. And of course, this session is also recorded, so I'm going to send a follow-up email to you tomorrow or Monday, and I'll share the Zoom link with everyone. And of course, the speaker's slide will also be shared with everyone. So congratulations to Manisha who joined first today. So she'll go with a $10 gift card. Also want to thank everyone for coming from Nigeria, from India, and from elsewhere. So to recognize someone is Kojo. Kojo, please can you put on your video so I can see the community leader for Atlassian community Accra. I think that's one of
Okay, minute. I'm turning on mine.
Okay. Okay.
I'll just all right. Okay. Hi, everybody.
So just say hello
So
to
just
us.
say hello to us. Yeah. Okay. You know that feeling when you're having a Zoom meeting, you wear some singlets and all right. Hi, everybody. My name is Kobu, and I am the Atlassian community lead in Ghana, Accra, and a very good friend of Lewis and the whole Alluvian family. This was a very good session. And then we hope to have more collaborated events over time. Thank you all. Bye.
All right, thank you so much, Kojo. So please, I said everyone should turn on our video so we can all meet and know each other. We are not much, so I think it's very okay. We can just introduce ourselves, just say what we do. Of course, there's room for talking after now.
Sure.
So please,
sure.
everyone, especially those who didn't come in earlier, can just use this opportunity to introduce yourself. Just tell us what to do, and we'll be rounding up very soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
Bye.
Sanjay.
Hi everyone.
Bye.
Hi Sanjay. Hi everyone.
Hello.
It's good to have you guys here.
Okay, so sorry, let's make it organized. So maybe if you come to the floor, you tell us your name, you're from, you can tell us what to do. Just 30 seconds, 1 minute, and the next person takes. So, all right, so we can just start from, okay. So who's starting? Okay, you have the floor already, Sanjay. So just continue, Sanjay. You have the floor. Thank you. Can you hear me, Sanjay?
Sorry.
Please, you have the floor. You can go on. Tell us who you are, what to do, and where you're joining from. Just in 60 seconds or less.
Like what? Sorry, can you come again once? Like,
Okay.
do I need to introduce myself or something you want to hear?
Just introduce yourself. You tell us you're from India, you're from Nigeria, and what you do. Are you a doctor?
Yeah.
Right.
As I said earlier, so I'm from India, and I have been working on Atlassian product like from last 3.5 years. So I like also And the session took by Babs is very interesting. So as we know, like Confluence is vast. So learning every day and enjoying working in Atlassian, like Atlassian on Atlassian tools, like an Atlassian few different products and all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So who is next? Someone else can pick up from there.
Okay, my name is Adiola Lawal. Okay, I work as a migration engineer for Alluvium, and been using Jira for 2 years. Sajay is so ahead of me, so I'll say like 2.5, close to 3 years. So, and it's been amazing so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Adela. So, thanks. And Raphael, come and have me.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Good morning from here. I'm Raphael from Nigeria, and I also work with Atlassian. Still quite new to the use of Atlassian tools, but getting more familiar. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. And then I think Manisha introduced herself much earlier, but most of us were not around. Manisha, can I have you again?
Yeah, hi everyone. So like I said earlier, I'm working as the Atlassian admin, like for the Atlassian products.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. And thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Sanjay.
thanks,
Thank you,
for
Kojo.
such a-
Always nice to have Kojo around.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for such a
Raphael.
great
And,
session, I think you gave us.
yeah.
It was very informative, and we got some lessons like and tips to implement those in our instance. So thank you for that.
Thank you from.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. I just want to take a screenshot. So just do your videos. So let me take a screenshot from my end. And then
Okay.
call it a wrap. Okay.
Everybody say smile.
Yeah. So from me.
Is there any award for the best smile or the
Yeah, there's an award for the best smile.
best smile?
This is the
All right,
Your
so-
favorite that one.
I know, right?
Okay.
All right, thank you. I think okay, what was one more? And we are done. Okay, yeah, thanks. So I've gotten the screenshots.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I think we can keep in touch with the community considering our workshops, which come up later in the year. Then we'll have enough time to learn Confluence. It will be one Saturday for something very deep into one area of Confluence. So now will be the best way to go. All right, so thank you everyone for coming. And Manisha, I'll guess across to you with your gift card. So everyone,
Sure.
bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Bobs.
Hi,
Done.
everyone.
All right. Bye.